everyone, today we are at The Gathering, Earth Edition, and today we have an interview with Crispian Olver. He is going to introduce himself so that the audience can actually understand who he is and what he actually does.
Hi there, Tivu. Good to see you, and great to be in this incredible gathering of people, hey?
Yeah.
All the forward-thinking minds in the country assembled in one space. So my name is Crispian Olver. I run the Secretariat for the Climate Commission, which is a body the President set up 2.5 years ago. And our job is to plan how to take our economy and society to net zero by mid-century. Okay. That's what we do.
Cool then. So with your current assessment on the whole crisis that we're actually dealing with now, what are the core reasons of that actual crisis, or all the crises that we're actually seeing right now?
We're facing multiple crises as a country. I mean, there's this term polycrisis that's bandied about. And it's partly because there's a global crisis, energy, war, inflation. I mean, everyone's feeling the squeeze. And we have this alarming acceleration in physical climate impacts. So we see the Earth is getting hotter. The WMO tells us that we're going to pass 1.5 degrees warming in the next 5 years. That's really alarming. I mean, every 0.5 degree up that we go, the long-term effects on water, food, energy systems, poverty and inequality, those get accentuated. And here in South Africa, I mean, we've got the added burden of the legacy of where we come from, the extreme levels of poverty and inequality in this country, and unemployment, a very fossil fuel dominated energy system, which is a big risk because it affects all of the products that we produce and therefore our trade with international partners. So there are big risks to our economy. You know, people are worried about losing jobs in the coal sector, which is very serious. I mean, there's 80,000 jobs there. There are a whole lot of families that, you know, are linked to those jobs. So losing coal is a big deal for us, and we can't do it overnight. We're going to have to do it in a carefully phased and managed way. But there are all the other jobs we've got to think about. I mean, 200,000 people working in the auto sector, or the 180,000 people in iron and steel, which we export a lot of, or chemicals or fertilizers. So, you know, we got big risks in our economy if we don't transition.
So I want to know, if we just scale down, right, thinking about the world, but bringing it back to South Africa, who should be held accountable for all of these polycrises?
That's a hard question to answer. I mean, there's obviously historical legacy issues. I mean, if we could go back in time and get all of those, you know, founders of capital and apartheid regime governors and hold them accountable, that would be great. But we're here today, we're in the present. I mean, I think the real question is, I mean, obviously polluters should pay for the costs of their pollution. There's a global debate on the go about who should pay for climate mitigation and adaptation. I mean, the problem that we face in the developing world is that we contributed the least to the problem, but it's developing countries that have to carry the burden of adapting to climate change. So that's partly why we pushed developed countries in the north to put up this $8.5 billion jet IP deal that is at least putting some money into supporting our own transition.
So then, let's say if we look at the government and what they said, that what they told the people, trying to build a better environment for everyone, right? Does it actually align with their plan, with what they're actually doing for the country? Do they align with what they say and what they do?
You know, with politicians, what they say and what they do never align. So,
Okay. Yeah.
no, I'm being a bit flippant.
Yeah.
Is this government serious
Yeah.
about climate change and the just transition? We've got some extremely progressive policies. I mean, we as the Commission put out last year this thing called the Just Transition Framework, which is a pathway for us as a society to manage our way and cushion the blow on workers and on communities. And that got adopted by government. It's official government policy. Government has presented legislation to Parliament. It's called the Climate Change Bill. They are busy consulting on that, and I'm hoping they will adopt it before the end of the year. So those are very progressive things that they're doing. On energy, it's much more complicated. I mean, we're getting very different messages from different ministers in government. It's causing a lot of confusion. I mean, it seems...
Are they united?
Well, it seems like a free-for-all, you know. Anyone can stand up tomorrow and make a pronouncement.
Yeah.
And, you know, it then seems like the whole policy is being unraveled.
Yeah.
If you look behind the noise, there are some really big changes afoot. I mean, government lifted the cap on embedded generation last year. That's unlocked a huge swathe of new renewable energy projects. And, you know, we've been tracking the ones that get registered with NERSA. It's escalated very dramatically. So the encouraging side is that renewable energy projects and investment is taking off in this country.
Okay. So then, in terms of then the opportunities, what other opportunities do we see? Let's say outside of just the power, is it just employment? What else can we see? What opportunities are there for us?
So the energy sector is sort of the leading edge of this transition. I mean, that's where a lot of the innovation is happening, and it's where a lot of the investment is focused. And we see big opportunities linked to that. So, you know, not just wind and solar energy, but the battery technologies, the rolling out of the transmission grid. I mean, that's a huge area of investment. Green hydrogen and all the value chains linked to that, the electrolyzers. For all of this, you need minerals. In fact, what we often don't emphasize, the minerals intensity of clean energy is much higher than of the old energy system. So we're going to hugely expand, like a lot of the minerals that we have, cobalt, nickel, iron and steel will do well, copper, manganese, lithium, lead. So, you know, South Africa's actually, mining is going to grow in South Africa, linked to the green economy.
Okay. So then, okay, for the viewer at home, how can civil society actually help with the crisis? Actually, how can we help?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, energy affects all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, every household uses energy in various ways to sustain itself. And what's fascinating, I mean, you know, we're in the midst of this load-shedding power crisis. What it's triggered for middle-class households, I mean, many of them have gone off-grid. They've got their own renewable energy and battery technology systems. The cost of that is prohibitive for poorer households. So we need to design, I mean, I think what this country needs is a large-scale rooftop solar PV and battery rollout for poor communities. And there's been some really creative community development projects around renewables. I mean, I've looked at one in KwaZulu, where a group of women in the community, working with the Nelson Mandela University, have put together one of the most groundbreaking community-driven projects. It's fantastic. We need 100 of those kinds of projects next year. So every community can start organizing around those kinds of projects. So, you know, everyone can do something. I think workers whose jobs are at risk should also be looking at opportunities in this economy. So the mining houses are all investing in large-scale new clean energy. I think workers and their pension funds should be making sure they've also got a stake in this new energy economy.
So who should be held accountable for the power crisis that we're in right now?
You know, this power crisis stems from a number of decades ago. Early 2000s, we should have been investing in new generation capacity. There was a hiatus, there was a bit of a policy contest about whether it should be IPPs, whether Eskom should do it. At that stage, government should have acted to get new generation capacity in place. So we've been behind the curve on making these kinds of investment decisions. So, you know, the government planners from then, we're not doing enough on energy efficiency. And that's not just government. I mean, that's all of the high energy users, households. We should be doing a lot more to save energy and to lower our household energy costs.
Okay, thank you so much.